This time. Oh, okay. And this time we are actually live. Hello and welcome to today's stream. Today we are doing... Yep. It's good to know that we are actually live. Today we are doing not just 7,000 Kakira giveaway, but 12,000 Kakira giveaway to the person who finds the phrase from an anime that I'm gonna type in my chat. So I'm gonna open the chat, I'm gonna write in something, and you have to copy that something in the comments or in the chat to get that whoever does it first gets it. Alright, today we're discussing, as you can see on the image, Moriarty the Patriot. Let me close up my stream so I don't actually see that. Wonderful. Wonderful. Let me just find yep. Now it's we all ready and we all set. So let's look down here. Everything is okay. So we see down here many people. So there is a whole little society, and today we're gonna talk about society. We're gonna talk about the article that I wrote, and this is called "Communists Are Taking Over London." Very scary thing, and today we're gonna discuss why is there communism? Why do they want to take over London? Why not Paris? And let's get right into it. So in Minecraft world, I'm gonna be building a pumpkin farm because we actually need that very intensely. In case you are very worried for my safety, please do not worry. I have no idea how to build a pumpkin farm, so we are all set for the whole hour footage. I'm surrounded by famous YouTubers. I just need to cover over the name. Yeah, basically like that. Alright, hello, Shacklaw. Nice to see you on stream. Alright, so for those of you who don't know, Moriarty just basically came out very recently, and there's the first half of the anime that finished airing a while ago. If you haven't been able to see that, go ahead and do that. I'm gonna be spreading spoilers as usual. Alright, so first of all, before we get into any arguments, why is there is no mentioning of communism in that anime? So how do we actually know there is some discussion about communism that can actually take place here? Well, for that reason, I got a description of communism from a very reliable source. How's it going? It's going very well. We're gonna discuss which one is better, communism or capitalism, using the recent anime Moriarty the Patriot. So I'd say it's going pretty well. Let me just check. Do we have the sound on the stream? Yeah. Very well, thank you. Alright. And so, yeah, the definition of communism, just so we all know and we are all on the same board, what is communism and what it is actually not. Because last time I asked a person from a faraway land called America what a communism is, I basically got an answer that it's something that has to do with fighting for any kind of inequality, and that is the most strong definition I've ever got. So just to be sure, okay, let me quickly get the definition from the Wikipedia. I'm not gonna be showing, but you can always check this out. So wonderful. Let me drag it. Communism is an ideology and movement whose ultimate goal is the establishment of a communist society. That is actually a weird definition, but okay. Establishment of a communist society upon the ideas of common ownership of the means of production, meaning all the resources belong to everybody, and the absence of social classes, money, and state. So they want to have no social classes whatsoever. That's the important part here. Because it wasn't officially said in the show. I actually need to cook the soup at this point. It wasn't officially said in the show. But... Ooh. Okay. My computer is broke. But Moriarty the Patriot, it is basically all about communism. All about that idea, hey, let's remove that whole rich and poor people business. And today we're gonna discuss whether that idea was actually good or whether it's horrible. And as you can see, I'm standing on my private island filled with the certain different types of riches. So as you can already guess, I'll be taking the money all for myself, and I will not be sharing them with any other social classes. So as you can already guess, I'm a bit of a capitalist here, but I'm gonna try and provide the most unbiased opinion as I can possibly do. I'm gonna put those in the bank. Where is the bank? Where is the most important building in this whole game? Where is it? Here it is. Why do I have so much money? Great. How to me open love and water park? I'm not sharing the secret knowledge of that. No. Alright. And we are cooking that mushroom soup. So, as you might have already noticed, we have a definition. So we may totally say if there are people who want to eliminate the classes completely, then they probably have something to do with communism. And now we're gonna be flying on the island. So, another sign of the communism is when, people strive to reach the rise of proletariat. So, basically the working class has to be above everyone else. So it's the rising of the working class, and this is what we have here in this anime. The story looks like it doesn't look like that at first. So give me back my wonderful items, because as you can see, the first episodes of the story, Moriarty says that there are some good nobles out there and there are some bad nobles. So basically, he doesn't say anything about destruction of the noble people. He has nothing, or so it looks like, he has nothing against them. He says, like, there are plenty of good and noble people, and there is this whole awesome concept of, noble obliges, which means that nobility have obligations before, the other people. What they have to put in here? And the working class, they have to take care of them, I guess. He speaks about all of that, but the truth is, like, the audience he speaks to, they don't buy it, because the other people, the other orphans, they have already heard the story multiple times, and they keep saying, like, come on, Moriarty. Well, it wasn't his name actually back then, but, like, come on, kid. We all know that it isn't true, because we all have personal stories about how nobles did very badly and did not fulfill their obligations whatsoever. And he says, like, yes, the bad nobles, they gotta be destroyed. So at first glance, it looks like Moriarty... Where do I build my pumpkin farm? It looks like he's only standing against the bad nobles, not any destruction of any social classes, nothing like that. It's all very chill and comfortable. And I feel, yes, over here. Nice. Let me just get some tons of money from somewhere, right? Whoa, whoa, whoa. Careful. So we can build tons of dirt. Tons of dirt. Probably get me like 2k. Alright. Alright. So. This is all a myth. The myth that Moriarty is actually this kind person who is not actually intended on any communism doing. It's all a myth. And that is because this anime really has to, we really have to search for the good nobles here. We really have to. Okay, let me think about how to make this farm, because I haven't given it any thought. So they're gonna be like, okay, they're gonna be like this, and then like this. So here is the seed, the pumpkin, the seed, the pumpkin. Does it look logical? I hope it does. Let's go. Let's waste all of our money on this dirt by applying mass clicking. So are there any good nobles? As the orphans said themselves, they haven't seen. Stop. They haven't seen any nobles whatsoever. I'm gonna go. I'm headed home, so I'll be back in around an hour. See you. We're gonna be waiting for you, shark. Check. I'm sorry. Yeah, don't you worry. Alright, have a good trip. And we also have a little bit of a statistic. I've been collecting some statistical knowledge about this anime, and I have figured out, and every episode is like a little short story, right? And the short story... Stop hitting me. The short story is actually... Good luck with the stream. Thank you. Bye. Let me turn this on. What have I been done? Oh yes, every episode there is a little like moment in there, and in every single moment, every single little story has their own little episode villain. And so the problem is, all of the villains out there are sharing some statistical mutuality. The first one is that all the villains are nobles. The only thing I'm kind of questioning is probably that not a professor, but more like an administrator. Stop hitting me. Why is this dirt hitting me so hard? Ah, okay, it's not the dirt. I was like, what's going on? And it's actually these guys. Wonderful. Oh, okay, so the dirt wasn't hurting me whatsoever. Anyways, moving on. I need more soup. There was this college professor who set up the whole murder of an innocent girl because, you know, she wasn't noble, but she got pregnant to avoid this whole marriage thing, which would be dishonorable. So I have questions whether or not he was noble, but usually in the prestige universities, like, those professors are being taken, I don't know. I have my doubts about that, but that's like the only case. That's like the only moment when they're actually... I have doubts whether that guy was an aristocrat. Everyone else, every single other villain in the story was a nobleman. Which is the first thing. The second thing is that every single one of them also was a man. And I don't know what's up with that. With the only exception, it's like not a big exception. Oh, we got so many people. Hello, I see you joining in. Welcome. We are discussing Moriarty the Patriot. And I was just saying that all the villains in the story a statistically noble man and man by gender, which is weird. The only exception is Albert's mother. So as you remember that Moriarty has this older brother who kind of adopted them into the family, and all three together kind of burned the family down. It happens. Arguments in the family happen. Alright. So the only exception is Albert's mother, because she is kind of a part of the family who looks down on ordinary people, therefore she's sort of evil and so probably deserves to die in their logic, but I feel like I'm gonna try this one out. But on the other hand of the story, she has nothing to do. Like, this whole younger brother who exists, this younger brother actually has this whole fork addiction. You know, he likes to stab people with forks. Okay, it will all work out perfectly. I believe so. We're gonna make 2 rows and see how it happens. And he's the one who's doing the actual evil doing. Like, the father in the family kinda adopted 2 orphans because he was pressured into it. So if I had a chance to say, he doesn't look like a horrible person at all. But, you know, there is this whole mother thing, the mother of Albert and his younger fork-loving brother. So she is all giving advices to this younger brother how to deal with these orphans and how to get them out of the house. So she looks like a little bit of a side villain, but there was like every single main villain was a noble man. Just pointing that out. So analyze all the current 11 episodes, and maybe that will change in the future. Like, who knows? And that includes also the opening scene, which, you know, usually the opening scene shows you the concept. It doesn't show you, well, the actual episode spoilers. At least they try not to, and therefore so far I didn't see, like, maybe people who know the manga will say it's a reference to real anime episode we're gonna be getting in the April, but so far I can only say that, well, there is this flower girl in the opening that I haven't seen in any of the anime episodes so far. And the thing is, the flower girl drops the flower, she wants to pick it up, and there's like a predator. So the flower girl is like dressed in peasant clothing. I guess this is how it goes. And the predator she falls to is like an evil man, and he is dressed like a nobleman. And this is also why there is this whole waltz scene in the opening. Yeah, now we're doing an opening analysis. And in the opening scene they actually got all those people dancing, and there is a white flower in the pile of blood, and Moriarty picks that flower. He's the only one who notices it. He notices the crime. And it turns out it was this flower girl. Her death, it remained unnoticeable to the noble world, to everyone except for him, except for Moriarty. And this is how it goes so far. So the idea of good nobles that Moriarty refers to so much. Well, a question arises, like, where exactly are those good nobles? If we are not counting Moriarty himself, who is like a fake noble, Albert, his older brother, whom we're gonna talk about in the second part of the stream. And well, probably Sherlock, who is, I don't know if he's a nobleman in the story, but in either case, he's a little bit of a goof. So he's that kind of goofy, silly person who doesn't strive as a good person at first, and as we see, like, he has doubts about whether he should kill a man or not, according to Moriarty's offer. So is that really a good decision, like a good hero would have made? That's a good question. So really, the question arises, where are those good nobles? Where are they really? And may I just buy 1,000 pumpkins from you or something? I guess let's just do that. Need a little bit of a pumpkin farm. So I did a little bit of camera grinding, as you may have noticed. There are huge farms out there at the moment. Oh, it's so cheap. Not so cheap. So cheap. Give me all those pumpkins. Thank you very much. Now the Halloween was over, and by the way, people, happy late Christmas. It's been just a couple of days ago, and just wanted to say, it's been a tough year. It's heading to its end. It is nice. Alright, so I'm just gonna carve thousands of seeds. I need a hoe. Okay. So we got everything sorted out. Wait, what? Okay. This is not the how I want it. Thank you. So I want to do like this, and then I need the water bucket. Can I actually just go up here, like I can fly? Yeah, I can do this. I can do this. So, going back to the noble statistic that we were able to acquire. There are basically no good nobles out there. And this is something we've had a discussion on our D class in Discord. If you weren't able to participate in that, you can read it out on the Discord server. You can always join that in the link on the description. And I cannot speak English anymore. Alright, and basically I had a nice discussion with Kral, so shout out to him for asking questions and actually suggesting this anime, which has won in our classes. And what Kral has said to me, he kind of pointed out that maybe this show is more about corruption in the noble society rather than between the classes struggle. Because basically, as we have said, there are no good nobles, so basically they have to exterminate all of the nobles if they really want a good society. But maybe it was just an anime about corruption in a good society, and that is a good point. Maybe that is actually the truth. So, how do we check if that is true or if that is false? So we gotta look into other titles here. Titles who talk about the corruption of the noble society, and this is very important. Let me lower my speed. Not helping. Let me change my outfit. One of those kinds of anime is actually Code Geass. So Code Geass is a story about, well, a bunch of doubles, but they all have been pursuing the fight for the power. Most of the kids that, you know, portrayed it in the story are fighting for the throne of their father and his brother are fighting for the power of the whole world. And basically they have failed their noblesse oblige. They have failed the main rule that makes them nobility. Let me break this. Thank you. What is that main rule? Well, basically, a little bit of spoilers. Okay, I'll try my best not to go into any spoilers, so you don't have to worry about Code Geass. The good nobles stood up to the bad nobles, and the good nobles are there are such people, such as, for example, Lucian Nanoli, who wanted the restoration of a special administration zone and giving equality to Japanese people, giving them a place of independence. For example, another good example is Euphemia, who first came to the idea of a special administrative zone, and another good idea is her sister. Another good example of a good nobility who actually cares a lot about her country and her country's safety. She's a military person who is risking her life out there on the battlefield every day to protect the empire. Now, she may not be much into the politics, and she obviously is not. She's not going to the throne. So there are plenty of good nobles, and all of them have stood up against the evil plans. For example, Cornelia stood up against Schneisel's plan, which is an important thing to note, because at some point she's portrayed it as a little bit of a villain for a while there, but it's not completely true. It's completely untrue, actually. Euphemia, who always thought about Japanese people, even though her country's policy was to discriminate against them. And it all ends up with what? There was like a rebellion of the ordinary people, the Black Knights, but the Black Knights are kind of useless without Lelouch. And Lelouch is the one who is actually finally defeating Charles. Does a thing which no one could do, because challenging Charles was an impossible task. And Lelouch is the only one who succeeds in that. Ta-da. So, that's the first example. So what do we have? We have a corruption in the noble society? Absolutely. The corruption was so big and there were so many nobles who did forget about their obligations. Then when Lelouch has, well, I'm gonna spoil you, but I don't think it's that much of a spoiler, has won the battle. He had just cancelled the nobility forever, and there was like no nobles anymore. And there was a whole fight, like one Lelouch against all of them, which is barely noticeable, but if you look into the anime carefully, you will see that it actually happened. Other than that, do we have any like struggle between the classes? Yes, we actually do. Does it lead to overthrowing the nobility? It actually does. But the funniest part is, and that is actually a good reason, I'm gonna explain it on another example soon. A good example why to overthrow bad nobles is a job of a nobility. Because nobility have the resources to do it. They have an understanding how their enemy works. And one of the rare examples when a main character came from an ordinary family was, for example, when Light Yagami was fighting the police, but he had and the detectives, but he had an absolute understanding how the police works, because he was working to become a policeman, and because he was his father was a police officer as well. So basically he knew the system from the inside. That is one nice thing to note. Another moment here is Attack on Titan story, and I'm gonna be going into the spoilers of I believe season 3 a little bit, as there was corruption in the noble family and moreover corruption in the royal family. So that is like very bad. So we might look again, once again, there was corruption and people should have probably overthrown that, right? Actually, like, no. So the truth is, meanwhile there is corruption, all of them are not bad and horrible people like the anime portrays, like Moriarty anime portrays to us. No, there are actually some good people. For example, Historia remembers that she had like an older sister or something. Maybe it was like a more complicated relative line, but nevertheless, there was this whole relative of hers who was coming over to her like place when she was a child, spent a little bit of time with her, and she remembered that, and that was actually a nice person. And despite that she was like a titan fighting the title and such things, she was still just fighting for her family and what she believed was good. So basically when Grisha rushed over to slaughter the royal family, she was just protecting her family, and she died doing that older sister of Historia. And Historia is another example of a good noble, interestingly enough, because while being offered to keep this whole dirty family secrets hidden, when being offered to join the power, she thought of the people. She is the true example of that noblesse obliged. So she remembered the rules, and she has realized how important it is to not only think of the family and family interests, but to think of the other people as well and their well-being. And she rejects the offer that would have given her so much power, and she takes on a burden of becoming a queen later on. So that's a complicated thing. That's a lot of responsibilities, and I mean, I believe she wasn't looking forward to it when she lived and when she enrolled as a soldier, to be given such requests and to make such a sharp switch into the politics world, which is, you know, quite a cruel place, without a doubt. Alright, 2 more layers here. Let me go like this. Ouch, 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 ouch. That hurts. That hurts. In other words, corruption of bad nobility? Yes. Alright. It happens. But who fights that corruption of the nobility? The other nobility. The good nobility. And it's not like, well, I mean, for example, we may doubt that for a second, say, why would there always be some good nobility? They can be, for example, only bad ones. Well, the thing is, someone has to always look over to the future, to kind of replacing the ones who are in charge right now. So it ends up, even if there would be like a world with no good nobility whatsoever, there would still be there would still be a world where people would inevitably join the interests of the crowd. The previous stream we had about Lelouch and how he has heavily identified himself with Japanese people is a good example. So you can watch the stream right now, just the previous stream, on Fit Against the Crowd. Really recommended. So there we find that, yes, I mean, normally Lelouch probably wouldn't be that interested in Japanese people's well-being. Hello, you can call me Cookie Man. Hello, Cookie Man. Nice to meet you. Yeah. So, Normally, probably Lelouch would identify himself. Have you got Prime account? I've got my Twitch account, which is basically, I don't know what he wants, but if you want my Twitch account, that is my Twitch account, and you can always join that. I'm gonna be streaming there starting next year. So I stream every Sunday. Alright. But Lelouch has identified himself. Nice to meet you. Yeah, as well. He has identified himself with Japanese people because he was in the same trouble. He was also suppressed by Britannia, and that was their common mutual interest over there, and this is why they have joined forces to fight. So as we can see, it is the job of another nobles, and I don't mean fake nobles like Moriarty or his two brothers, because I mean they have turned on nobility and they just want pure chaos. And let's look a little bit closer towards Moriarty and what Moriarty actually is, because he has done do you know Alex? Depends on the Alex, but I probably do. He's sub to you. Yeah, I probably do know Alex. Well, it depends on the Alex. Yeah, I know him. Yeah, I know him. Yeah. Okay. And Moriarty is a manipulator. And he has been manipulated people greatly. He made a video sub to this channel? I don't believe this. I don't be. Let me look it up, but I think it's a prank. Let me. What's his name? I'll look it up later, but yeah, I'll look it up. Thank you for notification. I did not know that. Bye, and good luck to you as well. Happy New Year. No, it's not a prank. Okay, I'll look it up. Thanks, man. Thanks. Give me a sub, then does his video says sub to this channel. No pranking. Alright. Got you. Oh, let me. Bye. Alright. I have made a list. Oh, I'm almost out of soup. I've almost ran out of soup. There, I've made a list of Moriarty's manipulations. And one of the greatest manipulations that I want to point out is basically lies with his people. Because you see, there is a phrase that Sherlock has said when he found out about Moriarty's doing. Basically what he said that, well, I think it was only in the manga, because I really tried my best to look into this. And well, this is what I found. A hero who exposes the noble's wrongdoing? How did it come to this? So Sherlock is surprised that there is such a situation taking place. And interestingly enough, the pawns of Moriarty don't even know what he is actually doing, which is very interesting. So first of all, we have people, his peers, who do not understand his plans. Do you remember when we talked about Moriarty explaining to his peers that they are good nobles and they are bad nobles? And the thing is, Moriarty have been explaining this to little kids. And they have all decided to join his idea of revolution and to help out London and to build a new beautiful society, etc., etc. And it has all, ooh, the first pumpkin. Let's celebrate this. This is the first ever pumpkin. We're gonna save this pumpkin. How do we save this pumpkin? Let's save it. Yep. This pumpkin goes to a special place. Over here. It's gonna be remembered. This is the first ever pumpkin. Very important. Oops. And did it replant? Did my replenish work? Oh, it doesn't need replenish. What am I thinking about? No, wait. What? Is this the wrong place? Anyways. So the kids' stories and the kids have decided, yeah, we're gonna have a revolution. That's very nice. That's very a little bit awkward, but okay, that's nice. The problem was that years after, Moriarty has finally called his peers to do the real action. And the kids came over and they're like grown up and everything. And when they came over, they had a meeting in the episode 6. And this is when it turned out they have no idea whatsoever what to do. I didn't know the pumpkin farm didn't need replenish. It means it's kind of a cheap farm, but I kinda need it nevertheless. The kids have no idea, and the reason we know it is one of them says, "This is all true and all." They say, this is all true and all, but who do we fight? And how do we do it? So have you seen people spending years upon years talking about, hello potato, hello, oh, you're late to the stream. You're right. I'm just talking about the kids that Moriarty have been talking into joining the ranks of communism, and how, they've been little kids, they didn't know what they're signing up to, but then the adults come over and they say like, who do we fight and how do we do it? So that level of ignorance is like, oh my god, are you serious? Moriarty had their lives on the stake. They've signed up for this and they didn't even know for what. Imagine talking about for years how the revolution is gonna take place, what the new country will look like, what it'll be like. And after those years upon years, they have like no idea whatsoever. What kind of plan did he tell them? What was those hours of discussion? What were they about? I am seriously interested. Because all of them coming over and they're ignorant, but okay, we can say for a moment there, we can say, you see, it's because he was taken from the orphanage into Moriarty's house and given the name of Moriarty. That's the reason why they couldn't hear about what they're actually gonna do, so they just waited for years for Moriarty to contact them. They probably couldn't talk much together. Maybe that's the actual reason. And, well, I mean, alright, but in that case, Albert, the older brother who was also inspired by Moriarty's ideas a lot, should have known so much about this, because they were the ones who actually lived in the house for a short while, and after they burned it to ashes, they were living together, just all three of them. And it turns out in the episode 6, when Moriarty starts talking, Albert kinda also has no idea whatsoever as well. So Albert's case is interesting, because alright, he saw some problems with nobility. He found a very questioning way to solve this, and he hired a couple of kids to kill his brother and his parents. He basically signed up to be a pawn to a little kid with extremist ideas. But all in all, he attempted to do something. The problem was that his involvement. Okay, let me just quickly check. Was that him evolving, or was that him downgrading? And we will know that if we look up what happened to him years after that. So when Albert is thinking about how rotten the noble community is, that is all fine and understandable. The real problem starts when we see what happens years after. Maybe he's right, maybe he's wrong. And we see that years after that happened, Moriarty finally starts talking about his plans. That's been years, pal. You should have had a clearly plan about all of this, like, nailed forever ago. But alright. And so Moriarty starts talking that he wants death to be the instrument of building the new society. Like, the new society is gonna be beautiful and all, but at first we're gonna have thousands of deaths and basically a total anarchy happening on the streets of London, where people would just massacre each other, and for some reason it's gonna clean up the city. Which basically, I guess he didn't think about that, plenty of people out there are just, murderers and people who do even worse stuff than murder, and they don't care about justice. They wouldn't just kill the bad guys, they would kill the innocent people too. The anarchy has its downfalls and its problems. He didn't give it any thought, I guess. And so he talks about how death will be a beautiful tool to create his new country. So it turns out he doesn't have any big plan about this. He just wants to see London burn to the ashes. And that's like, okay, so you want, put it shortly, and it's raining. So basically you want the proletarian people, the working class, to rail up, start mindlessly killing. If I got that right, mindlessly killing, doesn't matter who, doesn't matter why, and death will somehow lead to creation. Death is overall a very destructive tool, and it doesn't create anything, it destructs. Am I alone here? Am I the only one who thinks that death is destructive? Anyone whatsoever? So you see, this is rather questioning the ideas themselves, as I was trying to comprehend the meaning behind the complicated anime phrases. It turns out the philosophy behind it is like very questioning and flawed, but let's not concentrate on the death too much. And the problem is Albert's case. It's ridiculous. I'm gonna concentrate on it. It is ridiculous. The whole philosophy there is based on what? Where is logic in that? Can somebody save me from that kind of logic? It's so messed up. There is no logic there whatsoever. And the problem is Albert's, like the older kid we are analyzing right now, he sits over there, kinda in a chair, kinda feeling like a smart person, and he says a phrase. And basically what he says is, Moriarty, you are very, very right. Death is more instrumental than anything. Now, I need to really go out and search for an idiot like that if I ever wish to find someone who could beat Albert in that statement. I'm not even kidding right now. So, death is more instrumental. Oh, this is why I don't have money. Than anything. Did Albert really hear himself? Oh, I really am starting to snap at this, but this is so ridiculous. Let's talk about Durarara, which I kind of gave 3 streams and I haven't covered the anime. Something that has really deep thoughts that you can talk about forever. You know, me as a capitalist standing near a banker right now, I can tell you that there are much more interesting anime that just give so much to talk about, and here I just have to analyze what Albert has said, and that is a little bit pathetic, I'm not gonna lie. That whole phrase makes no sense whatsoever. So if you remember, Durarara gives a quick disapproval to what Albert just said. Albert has said that death is more instrumental than anything, so as long as you have the power to slash people up, you're gonna be fine. Is basically the conclusion from that. Well, let me prove you wrong. If you remember, there was a bunch of bullies, actually 3 female bullies, and a guy kind of supporting them with the... I don't remember what he had, probably a knife. They've been trying to bully some people, and this is when Ise came in. And now, don't get me wrong, Ise had all the power to just... I'm too loud again. I'm too loud again. So let me make this a little bit less. Yeah, so Ise had just all the power to get rid of those if he wanted to. Like, he is the type of guy who could easily stand against Shizo than killable monster. I mean, a couple of movements and all 4 of them would be dead. So in Albert's terms, what Ise had to do is to pull out 4 of his, infinite amount of knives in the pockets and just quickly stab all of them to death. And that would be, according to Albert's words, very instrumental to handle the city. The problem is you're gonna be dealing with lots of people with different moral standards in the city, and if you kill them all, there's not gonna be much of a city to live in. So we see, what did Ise do in contradiction to Albert's statement? He did not use that as the most instrumental tool to fix his problems. We see that Ise does 2 things that surprise everyone, and he shows that death is not instrumental whatsoever, but power, on another hand, rather than, simple strength, is actually very useful. And so what Ise did was a demonstration of power. I'm gonna giving you a short analysis of that scene, but it is very important to understand. So in half a movement, he threw a knife that broke that girl's purse, and then he took her phone and made a scene that kind of pretended to look like a maniac, violently smashing her phone. Like, he could smash all of their faces and lead them to death, but he just smashed her phone, giving the least collateral damage he could make. Because power is not about strength, it's about demonstration of what you can do. There is no point in having a city that has no people in it, but there is a point in having a city that has people who are very much aware of what you can possibly do, and are afraid of you. Oh, in Ise's case. So Albert is standing there like an idiot, claiming that death is more instrumental than anything. Well, I have took 5 minutes of my time, which I kind of regret that I have to spend so much time on Albert, since he's not really worth it. to prove him wrong, and I already did it. There are other ways that are more powerful than death. As the saying goes, I'm not sure if there is an English equivalent to that, but there is a saying that living is harder than dying. So once again, there is something that is more of an art than dying is. And once again proves Albert's wrong. And it means that Albert throughout the years have degraded. This is a very important thing to know. If Albert has degraded, it means throughout the years, Moriarty's ideas did not help him out. Moriarty's ideas did not help him evolve. That's a good opportunity to die. He rather degraded. His mind is so broke, he spouts nonsense. And I mean, I just like how confidently he sits in the chair. I mean, I'm not hiding it. I've been having issues with Albert's existence since the beginning of the show. But under Moriarty's ideas, he became even more dumb. Not gonna lie. That kid just became a pawn of a much younger guy with many ideals that are very questionable, and we see that throughout the years living in those ideas just did something to them. I can also go on about how a crime unites people and the people become happier. In this whole episode about the gardener and his wife, like, the crime will unite it together. Not really. Did you ever play Watch Dogs 1 to know what crimes do to people, to ex-partners especially? I'm talking about Damien here. Not really. And this whole anime I've been watching it's like, it sounds smart. But it sounds like a robot has generated the philosophy for that anime, and an actor just read it out. Because if you really think about critically, which is something we have dedicated ourselves to do, it doesn't make sense whatsoever. That's the important part here. Alright. Moving back towards other pawns that Moriarty bends people to his will. He doesn't really explain them what to do, what he really wants, what he really aims for, but somehow he gets people on his side. So Moriarty is a manipulator, and apart from the phrase that we've been talking about, a hero who exposes the nobles' wrongdoing, is Moriarty really a hero? Because manipulating people is not something that is usually a character of a hero. Now, we know that there are different ways of manipulation and assembling people. For example, Lelouch have assembled people for a good cause and their own liberation, basically. Which is why people have confronted him about, oh wait, but you have manipulated us and tricked us. He said, and as a result, you will be a liberated country with human rights, so what do you have to complain about, really? On the other hand, we see people like Moriarty, and we have to determine, we have to check if he uses, oh, I'm out of money, but if he uses dark manipulation. That is very important. Because so far we see that his pawns don't understand anything whatsoever. And we see some other people who use dark manipulation at least spend some time training their pawns, so their pawns would become stronger. For example, as Isa trains Mikado and says him, if you want to escape boredom that I see you're trying to escape, the only way to do it is to evolve. That's actually good and valuable advice that Mikado can actually use and be more successful in his life and I mean, he screws it up a little bit, the involvement part, but there was a lot going on. So, and that was his choice, anyways. For example, that, or we see another story is Technoblade, who told Tommy Innit that all his good deeds and sacrifices for the society are not gonna be appreciated, because whether you sacrifice anything, people not gonna say thank you. People gonna do bad stuff to you. That's actually not very far from the truth. So that self-sacrificing is not gonna give Tommy any benefits or honors. So that is a good advice as well that Tommy can use, Tommy who has lost both of his discs. For example, right? So we have a couple of nice explanation when dark manipulators, yes, they manipulate, yes, they use others for their own personal gain. But we see even that there are manipulators who do even better job than Moriarty. Moriarty's spawns have no idea whatsoever about what's happening and why is this happening. This is just so bad. So incredibly bad. Alright. They're staying ignorant throughout the years. That's the biggest problem. And there's another pawn. Oh, I just I just looked away down to my notebook for a second to see what part of the material am I on, and I just did this. No, don't kill my farm. My farm is valuable. There is another pawn that Moriarty was trying to get, and that pawn is Sherlock. You can see that Sherlock is being faced. Well, first of all, we can see that younger brother of Moriarty. What was his name, actually? Let's see. I have no idea. Okay, I don't care. There was this younger brother of Moriarty who have been actually thinking to himself about Sherlock a lot because he has some sort of complex, and he ended up thinking that Sherlock is being used like a pawn, and until that time he's not allowed to kill Sherlock due to his huge inferiority complex, which is okay, which is his own thinking, but basically Sherlock is a pawn, or so they think, and the problem is that Sherlock had a chance to accept the offer and become Moriarty's pawn. He would have done it if he agreed to kill a man. So there is some sort of guilty person who offers like, I'm gonna die anyways, don't turn me into the police and just kill me, then you will get the name of my master. So if Sherlock had done that, which he spent a lot of time thinking about later on in the last episode, if Sherlock had done that, I'm tired of falling, he would have become Moriarty's pawn. But Sherlock, despite looking like a fool, actually isn't one. Therefore, he quickly saw through the lies. He saw that it is actually all. Why did they still escape? I should not build a farm below those guys. I'll just relocate them. Okay. We're all good. Sherlock had accepted it. He would have just become a pawn. And Sherlock saw through that, and that's why he didn't agree. This is why he said that he's not gonna play this game, but Sherlock still took damage from that offer. He spent his next episode he spent arguing with his best friend Watson, and losing. a lot of nerves over the idea that he could have accepted the offer. So basically he was rethinking the offer to become Moriarty's pawn. He was having doubts, so he at the very least, he took damage from Moriarty's offer, and that's a problem. So he should have seen since the beginning that it was a trap, and he should have told himself since the beginning that there is no way that could be a real offer. He should have told himself since the beginning that Moriarty was trolling him and would not have truthfully gave him his own name. So if he would tell himself that, he wouldn't have to worry about this later on. So it's like he's admitting that he was played and he's worried about that. That is the most interesting glitch I've ever seen. And not a very rare one, I suppose. So Sherlock is wavering about whether or not he should become Moriarty's pawn, as we see in that offer. And we see that Moriarty is nearby and he sees the struggle the whole team of Sherlock is going through because of his offer, because of what Moriarty did to Sherlock, and how Sherlock is trying to become his pawn and losing his friends over it, and Moriarty kind of helps him restore his friends' trust, and therefore Moriarty's offer is forgotten again. But the problem is that Sherlock was not very firm on his denial. So chances are another offer like that, I mean a different one obviously, but another somewhat offer is gonna be, maybe Sherlock's gonna accept it this time. And then Moriarty will get his way. So now it is time for us, now that we've covered Moriarty and his whole gang and what they really want and how they're being used, what the opposition does. And meanwhile, we have to talk a little bit about a very interesting part, and that is anime bias. So the truth is, this anime points a very interesting question. Have you, like, looking at the results of the hard work of the anime producers, we can see that they have posed the question whether Moriarty's ideology, which is very, very similar to the definition of communism, is actually better than what London had in the 19th century, and that was capitalism. But when they were trying to answer that, we are facing a huge anime bias. Alright, so this is something to note before we jump into the conclusion whether this anime was good or whether it was horrible. Because you see, okay, we have certain problems with this anime. First problem, there are only bad nobles. There are no good nobility Moriarty talks about. Like, oh, they're good. No, there aren't. There aren't any good nobility whatsoever. And that's a huge problem. That is a huge problem. Second of all, has almost nothing to do with the political part of the story. But all of the villains are men. Which is kind of surprising and not what I expect from this life. How do I fix this? How do I fix this? No. No. Not enjoyable. What's going on? I need dirt to fix. Yay, the farm. The farm is fixed. Alright. And the question arises, like, if this whole story is about nobles, good nobles and bad nobles, good nobles that don't exist and bad nobles who do very much exist and act and for some reason all of them despise the commoners, even though the commoners are like nice people who ask stuff nicely, and like the nobles are also having the weirdest reaction whatsoever. But okay. In this whole world, why is it so unbalanced? Well, it's basically, why is it so cheated? Why is it such a rigged world? Because it's so out of reality. I'm not saying like this should be a realistic world. No, of course not. This is an anime. This is a fantasy world. We can have whatever we want. But the problem is, for example, in Death Note, there is no question that the world is rotten. The world is not rotten because everyone is bad. For example, all is a questionable person, I guess, in terms of the morals, but overall is a nice guy who wants to solve crimes, is a genius who has dedicated his life to the society. So I like how I'm paving the road for the spider. This has been epic. Oh my god. Oh, alright, I'm gonna get some dirt today. Yay, so happy. So it is a fantasy world, but like Death Note leaves no objection that the system has really been rotten and needs to be replaced. And it's not being replaced by like complete chaos, it's being replaced by a very different new system, which is very far from communism, but still very different from what has been established in the Death Note original story, you know, before Light Yagami. Still very, very different. Other than that, we have Code Geass story when we have well, basically Light Yagami would become, well, he called himself a god, but I mean he could be a king with the same result, or the emperor, doesn't really matter. Basically we are having to deal with concentrated amount of power. Code Geass is all about cancelling that idea of concentrated powers in favor of having a democratical world system. Well, it really depends on the ending, and we'll have to talk about that eventually. But speaking in theory, yeah, so they all have different world position, but this one is very unbalanced. It's not, there is no good people on the other side whatsoever. Code Geass has a good person there, like Cornelia, Euphemia. Well, Nanolia apparently joins in at some point, and also, you know, obviously is a good person. You know, many others. Villetta, who is on the side of the nobles but throws it all away for love. Death Note has good people such as L, and, you know, not talking about his successors, but, you know, L has been a good person, more or less. You know, Attack on Titan has his story and all the system. This anime is the only anime that has no good people on that side whatsoever, except for Albert, who has decided that he's more than happy that leveling down everyone and have no social classes whatsoever, establishing the world of communism in London. So yeah, that Albert Kun, and who else am I forgetting here? I guess that's it. That's the problem. That's the whole problem here. Alright. So the question arises, and I mean, this is the stream when I'm not gonna give you a definite answer. The answer I can give you on the stream is that we cannot. You're ruining my crops. Delete all of you guys. Guys, you're ruining my crops. I've been working on this for the whole stream. I've been coming to so many crops ruined. I've been coming to have an epic conclusion of my stream, and what is this? Okay, next slime to get over here is getting up here, preferably. All right, the only solution, the only thing I can tell you is that this anime cannot give you the answer to the question it poses throughout the whole anime. Well, actually, not throughout the whole of it, just mostly the beginning. Whether one system is better over another is something we cannot answer through this anime. Communism or capitalism, which one is a more effective one? This anime has been too rigged to give us the right answer, to give us any good statistics, any good scientific facts whatsoever. And the truth is, the reason, the whole fact that it has been somewhat cheated in terms of the plot, and there were no good guys whatsoever on the other side, really makes us question ourselves. Is it cheated that way because Moriarty's ideology is so flawed that in a fair competition it wouldn't win? Thank you so much for joining the discussion about Moriarty the Patriot. And there is a 7 Kakira giveaway. Oh no, there is a 12 Kakira giveaway this time. I keep forgetting about that. Yeah, this is the spirit of Christmas. I'm giving up more Kakira. I'm very broke, but guys, take it all from me. Find the hidden phrase, and slam me in the comments with that phrase. A phrase from there. It's been really hard finding a good one because this anime is high. I'm telling you, there are no good quotes from this anime whatsoever. I did my best, so now you can come and rob me of my money. Yeah, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel, guys. If you get me to 100 subs, I'm doing a special giveaway that has nothing to do with the Kakira, but is, a very special handmade gift from me to you. So get me to 100 subscribers to participate in that giveaway. And thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys next stream.